Welcome back to your quiet space for building better English, step by step. It is 11:30 p.m. and you are sitting on your couch in the dark, scrolling through your phone. You see a photo of a friend who just got promoted, and they look so happy, so you put the phone down and feel a heavy weight in your chest, because you aren't just sad or tired, you feel like you are standing still while the world moves around you.
For years, I felt exactly this way. I wanted to tell my English teacher, I feel like a ghost in my own life, but all I knew how to say was, I am bored with my job, and it just wasn't enough to describe the pain I was feeling.
Tonight, we change that. You will learn the exact sentence patterns and metaphors to describe feeling stuck, drifting, and ready for a new chapter. Hello, Daniel. It is good to have you here for this conversation.
It is a pleasure to be here, Sophie. This topic is very close to my heart. I think everyone at some point in their life hits a wall. We stop moving forward. But describing that feeling in a second language is incredibly frustrating.
Exactly. Usually when we learn English, we learn happy adjectives. I am happy, I am excited. Or we learn simple negative ones. I am sad, I am angry. But the feeling of being stuck is complex. It is a mix of boredom, fear, and frustration.
Right. If I say I am sad, people think I am crying. But I am not crying. I am just not moving.
So the first word we need to explore is drifting. This is a beautiful, melancholy word. Daniel, what image comes to your mind when you hear drifting?
I imagine a boat in the middle of a calm ocean. The engine is broken. The boat is just moving slowly with the water. It has no direction. It is just going wherever the wind takes it.
That is the perfect image. When we apply this to our lives, drifting means we are living without a goal. We are waking up, going to work, coming home, and sleeping, but we aren't steering the boat.
I remember my late 20s. I was working in a cafe, but I didn't want to be a barista forever. I wasn't unhappy, exactly, but I wasn't building anything. I was just drifting.
That is a great example. Listen to the grammar Daniel just used, or rather, the grammar we can use to describe that state. We often use the phrase, I feel like I'm drifting.
I feel like I'm drifting.
Let's practice that. Listen and repeat. I feel like I'm drifting.
I feel like I'm drifting.
It is soft, isn't it? It doesn't sound aggressive. It sounds like a confession.
It does. It feels like you are admitting that you are lost.
There is another water metaphor that is very common for this feeling. It is treading water.
Oh, treading water. That is physically exhausting.
Yes, imagine you are in a swimming pool. Your feet cannot touch the bottom. To keep your head above the water, you have to kick your legs and move your hands constantly. That action is called treading water.
You are working very hard just to stay in the same place. You aren't swimming forward. You are just trying not to sink.
Exactly. So if you are working very hard at your job, but you aren't getting a promotion and you aren't saving money, you can say, I feel like I'm just treading water.
That is a very powerful phrase. I feel like I'm just treading water. It means I am tired. I am working hard, but I have zero progress to show for it.
Let's try saying that together. It is a bit longer. Listen to the rhythm. I feel like I'm just treading water.
I feel like I'm just treading water.
One more time, slower. I feel like I'm just treading water.
I feel like I'm just treading water.
Notice the difference between these two. Drifting is passive. You are just floating. Treading water is active but useless. You are exhausted, but you aren't moving.
That is a really helpful distinction. When I was in that cafe job, I was drifting. But later, when I started my first business and I was working 14 hours a day but making no money, I was treading water.
Precisely. Now, to really discuss these feelings deeply, we cannot just use simple vocabulary. We need the right grammar, and the king of emotional duration is the present perfect continuous tense.
The dreaded present perfect continuous. This is the one with have been-ing, right?
That is the one. I have been feeling, I have been thinking, I have been wondering. Many learners avoid this. They say, I am sad now, but I am sad now only talks about this exact second. It doesn't capture the heavy history of the feeling.
Right. If I say I am stuck, it sounds like a temporary problem. Maybe my car is stuck in the mud. But if I say I have been feeling stuck, It implies this has been going on for a long time. It carries the weight of the past.
Exactly. It connects the past to the present. It tells the listener this started a long time ago and it is still happening right now. Let's look at the structure. It is subject plus have or has plus been plus verb ing.
I have been feeling.
Let's take a simple sentence and upgrade it. Daniel, if I say, I am tired, how do we make that deeper and longer?
I have been feeling tired.
Good. And we usually add a time phrase. Lately is very common. I have been feeling tired lately.
I have been feeling tired lately.
What about I worry about my future? That is present simple. It is a fact. But how do we make it a continuous burden?
I have been worrying about my future.
Yes. Can you hear the difference? I worry is a fact. I have been worrying is a state of mind that follows you everywhere. It follows you to bed. It follows you to breakfast.
It sounds much more stressful, honestly, but it is more accurate to how anxiety feels.
Let's try combining our vocabulary with this grammar. We learned drifting, so instead of saying I am drifting, let's use the present perfect continuous.
I have been drifting for a while.
I have been drifting for a while. Listen to the intonation. It usually goes down at the end because it is a sad realization. I've been drifting for a while.
I've been drifting for a while.
And what about treading water?
I feel like I've been treading water for months.
I feel like I've been treading water for months. That is a sentence a native speaker would use in a therapy session or a late-night talk with a best friend. It is advanced English because it is emotionally intelligent English.
It is interesting because using I have been actually makes me feel clearer. It acknowledges the time I lost.
It validates the experience. Now, there is another phrase we need to discuss. It is the opposite of drifting. It is when you are stuck in a bad habit or a boring routine that you cannot escape. We call this being stuck in a rut.
Stuck in a rut. R-U-T. What exactly is a rut?
Originally, a rut is a deep track in the mud made by the wheels of a wagon or a cart. If the mud is soft, the wheels sink in. They make a deep groove. Once your wheels are in that groove or rut, you cannot turn left or right. You have to go straight, even if you don't want to.
That is such a vivid visual. So being stuck in a rut means I am doing the exact same thing every day, not because I want to, but because it is too hard to steer my life in a new direction.
Exactly. It is the feeling of the daily grind. Wake up, coffee, commute, work, commute, TV, sleep, repeat. If you do that for 5 years, you are stuck in a rut.
I think many people feel this way. How would we use this in a sentence with our present perfect continuous grammar?
You could say, I feel like I've been stuck in a rut lately.
I feel like I've been stuck in a rut lately.
Or simply, I've been stuck in a bit of a rut.
I've been stuck in a bit of a rut. Adding a bit of makes it sound slightly softer, doesn't it? Like you are trying to be polite about your own misery.
Yes, British and American speakers often minimize their pain. A bit of a rut usually means a terrible, deep depression of boredom, but we say a bit of a rut.
So we have drifting, treading water, and stuck in a rut. These are all internal feelings. But the scene you described at the beginning, Sophie, the one with the phone, that involved looking at other people.
That is the second layer of this pain, comparison. When we feel stuck, we usually look at others and feel like they are moving fast. We need language for this gap between us and them.
The most common feeling is that everyone is ahead of you, like a race.
Yes, and the phrasal verb for this is to fall behind.
To fall behind.
Imagine a race. Everyone starts at the same line, but you trip or you run slowly. Suddenly, everyone is 100 meters ahead. You have fallen behind.
We use this for work projects too, right? I am falling behind on my emails.
Yes, but in life, it feels much heavier. I feel like I'm falling behind in life.
I feel like I'm falling behind in life. That is a very heavy sentence.
It is, but saying it out loud can be a relief. It helps you understand why you are anxious. The opposite of falling behind is keeping up.
To keep up. That means to stay at the same speed as everyone else?
Right. And often the problem is that we are trying too hard to keep up. I'm just trying to keep up with my friends.
I'm just trying to keep up with my friends.
There is another phrase that is very specific to social status and success. It is to measure up.
To measure up. That sounds like using a ruler.
It is similar. It means to meet a standard or an expectation. If you look at your successful friend's post on Instagram, you might think, I don't measure up.
Meaning I am not as good as them or I haven't achieved as much as them?
Yes, it is a feeling of inadequacy. I feel like I don't measure up.
Sophie, these are very dark feelings, but I think learning the English for them is actually healing, because when you can name the monster, it becomes smeller.
That is beautiful, Daniel. When you can name the monster, it becomes smaller. That is exactly why we are doing this. If you are just a ball of silent stress, you cannot fix your life. If you can say, I have been drifting and I feel like I'm falling behind, then you have a problem statement, and you can solve a problem statement. Before we move on to the solution, the language of changing your life, I want to take a moment. If you are enjoying this calm, slow approach to learning English, if you like having the time to really think about what words mean, please consider subscribing to the channel.
We create these long episodes because we know that real learning doesn't happen in 60 seconds. It happens when you relax and let the English sink in deep. So if that helps you, click the subscribe button so you don't miss our next session.
Thank you. Now, we cannot leave our listeners in the dark. We have talked about drifting and falling behind, but how do we talk about stopping the drift? How do we take control?
We need some action verbs. We need phrases that show a decision.
The first one is a classic idiom, to turn over a new leaf.
To turn over a new leaf.
This comes from turning a page in a book, right? Like starting a new page? Exactly. In Old English, leaf meant page. So when you turn over a new leaf, you are saying, the past is finished. Today I start a blank page. So if I have been stuck in a rut for 2 years, but today I decided to apply for a new job, I can say, I decided to turn over a new leaf. I decided to turn over a new leaf. It implies a change in behavior, not just a change in location. You are acting differently. What about when we want to change the speed of our life? If we have been drifting slow and we want to move fast, then we use the phrase to switch gears, like in a car. Yes, if you are driving slowly, you are in first gear. If you want to go on the highway, you switch gears. In life, this means changing your intensity or your focus. I need to switch gears. I've been drifting for too long. It's time to switch gears. I've been drifting for too long. It's time to switch gears. That sounds decisive. It sounds strong. It does. It breaks the pattern of the present perfect continuous. I have been drifting, past, present. It is time to switch gears, future, action. Is there a phrase for when we want to change everything, when we want to throw away the old life and start completely fresh? We often call that a clean slate. A clean slate, like a chalkboard or a whiteboard that has been wiped clean. Exactly. I want a clean slate. This means I don't want to fix my old problems. I want to start over where nobody knows me, or in a totally new career. I'm looking for a clean slate. So, we have a journey now. We start by admitting, I've been stuck in a rut. We admit the pain. I feel like I'm falling behind. And then we decide, it's time to turn over a new leaf. It is a full story of redemption in 3 sentences. Let's practice putting this all together. We are going to do a long shadowing session now. I am going to speak a monologue, a short story, using all these phrases. I will say it sentence by sentence. I want you to listen, wait for the silence, and then repeat it exactly as I said it. Copy my emotion, copy my speed. Should they copy the pauses too?
Yes, the silence is part of the meaning. Are you ready? I am ready. Let's begin. Lately, I've been feeling like I'm just treading water. Lately, I've been feeling like I'm just treading water. I go to work every day, but I feel like I'm stuck in a rut. I go to work every day, but I feel like I'm stuck in a rut. When I look at my friends, I feel like I'm falling behind. When I look at my friends, I feel like I'm falling behind. But I realize that I have been feeling this way for too long. But I realize that I have been feeling this way for too long. So today, I decided to switch gears. So today, I decided to switch gears. I am ready to turn over a new leaf. I am ready to turn over a new leaf. I don't want to drift anymore. I don't want to drift anymore. Take a deep breath. How did that feel, Daniel? It felt heavy at the beginning, but very light at the end. The transition from I have been feeling to I decided is powerful.
That is the power of grammar. It structures your reality. If you only know how to say, I am sad, you stay sad. If you can say, I have been sad, but now I am changing, you have a pathway out.
I noticed you emphasized the word have in I have been feeling.
Yes, I have been feeling. This emphasis highlights the duration. It tells the listener, hey, this is important. This is a long-time problem.
And when you said falling behind, your voice went a little quieter.
Because it is a vulnerable thing to admit. We don't shout, "I am falling behind." We usually whisper it. Learning English intonation is about matching the volume to the emotion.
Sophie, what if someone is listening to this and they feel overwhelmed? We gave them a lot of metaphors: drifting, ruts, leaves, slates, gears.
That is a fair point. You don't need to use all of them. You just need to find the one that matches your life right now.
So pick the one that resonates?
Yes. Ask yourself, are you a boat without an engine? Then you are drifting. Are you a swimmer who is tired? Then you are treading water. Are you a wagon wheel in the mud? Then you are stuck in a rut.
I think right now in my life I am treading water. I am very busy, lots of work, but I don't see the shore yet.
Then that is your phrase. And just identifying it helps, doesn't it?
It does. It makes me realize I need to stop kicking so hard and maybe look for a boat.
Or maybe just float for a while. Floating is different from drifting. Floating is resting. Drifting is getting lost.
That is a very subtle difference. English is full of these tiny nuances.
It is, and that is why we study it slowly. We have talked a lot about the problem. I want to touch on one more aspect of feeling stuck before we finish. It is the concept of going through the motions.
Going through the motions. This is similar to being stuck in a rut, isn't it?
It is, but it focuses on your internal lack of passion. When you go through the motions, you are acting like a robot. You smile, you say hello, you do your work, but your heart is not there.
You are physically present but mentally absent.
Exactly. I'm just going through the motions at work.
I'm just going through the motions at work.
This is often the first sign of burnout. Before you crash, you start going through the motions. If you can say this to your boss or your partner, it is a warning signal.
I need a break. I feel like I'm just going through the motions.
Yes, it is much more specific than "I don't like my job." It means I have lost my connection to this work.
I think that is the theme of today's lesson, isn't it? Specificity, being specific about our pain.
Yes, specificity sets you free. Vague language keeps you trapped in a fog. Specific language gives you a map.
I love that. Specific language gives you a map.
We have covered the present perfect continuous to show time. We have covered water metaphors for lack of control. We have covered race metaphors for comparison. And we have covered mechanical metaphors for changing direction.
It is a complete toolkit for a midlife crisis.
Or a quarter-life crisis. Or just a Tuesday night crisis.
True. These feelings don't check your passport or your age. They just arrive.
Daniel, before we wrap up, do you have any final advice for someone who is staring at that phone screen right now, feeling that heavy weight?
I would say, don't let the English language be another barrier. If you feel stuck, don't also feel frustrated that you can't explain it. Use the phrases we learned today. Write them down. Even if you never say them to another person, say them to yourself. I am not failing. I am just treading water right now. It changes how you treat yourself.
That is wonderful advice. Be kind to yourself through the language you use. We are coming to the end of our session. We want to leave you with one small, quiet action step. You don't need to post on social media. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to identify one area of your life where you feel you are treading water or drifting. Turn off the lights, lie in the dark, and whisper one sentence using "I have been" to describe it. For example, I have been drifting in my career.
Acknowledge it. Hear your own voice say it in English, and then let it go and rest.
Thank you for letting us accompany you step by step.
Good night, and good luck with your new leaf.
Until next time.